Hello, everyone. How are you all? It's been long that we haven't met, but today we are here again with Dr. Puja. Dr. Puja session is going to be a very interesting. I tell you why. Because it's been more than 100 days that we all are still locked up. And we are trying our level best to take care of ourselves and our children mental health, and there are
Hello
many
everyone.
problems
How are
with
you all?
children.
It's been long that we haven't met. Today we are here again with Dr. Puja. Dr. Puja session is going to be a very interesting. I'll tell you why.
Dr. Puja session is going to be interesting. Reason, Dr. Puja is a pediatric neurologist, and she take care of the children's brain, their mental health, which is a very important thing which we need to take care of for our little ones. She is having experience of 16 years. She is also a co-founder of Dr. Puja. If you don't mind, just a sec.
Yes, yes, Preeti.
Dr. Puja, could you hear me?
Yes, you are very well audible, Miss Preeti.
Yeah, could you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
There is a there is an internet problem on my end.
Okay.
Dr. Puja is also a co-founder of Continua Kids, who take care of the child neurological part and the brain, which is the foremost responsibility for our parents to take care. So over to you, Dr. Puja. A very warm welcome from Petals family, from parents, because you are going to let us know what are the steps why children have delayed development. There are some children, those who actually feel apart, and they actually struggle with their growth and their development. What is the role of parent in their development, and why some of the children are having delayed development? We would like to know the steps, and I will ask certain questions. What are the causes of slow development in the children? First question to you, Dr. Puja.
Okay. Hi, Miss Preeti. Thank you for this opportunity to talk about such a niche topic. Even though this is niche, but I would prefer that it should be known to every would-be parent because the parents are the one which from where the child starts its journey. Even in the antenatal period, the postnatal period, to the school, every part of the child journey from its inception to the child when the child becomes an adult is very crucial.
Yes.
First of all, I would like to thank, and the second thing is that when I viewed your profile, I was quite impressed, and I would really looking forward because I saw that you're a psychologist, and psychologist understands the child's brain, understands the emotions, understands the needs of the child, and so to be with the children and under the head of a psychologist, I think Petals is doing a wonderful job, and I would look forward for getting the maximum potential from the children from your school.
Thank you.
And let's start with the topic. Uh, I agree with Ms. Preeti, yes, that development is an interesting thing because it's an ongoing process. To start with, uh, every parent should be educated about the at least the basic steps of development. So to start with, I will start with the basic step. You have to categorize development into four parts. We as pediatric neurologists divide it into four parts because the domains have to be read in a different way in each and every category to find out where are we lagging. So as the child grows, the first thing is the physical milestones. What do you mean by physical milestones? The head holding, the sitting, the standing, the walking. These are called as gross motor milestones, and these are gross developmental milestones. So a child starts holding his head by the age of 4 months, starts sitting by the age of 6 months, 7 months, and then start standing with support by the age of a year, and then walking without support by the age of 15, 14 months. So these are his major gross motor milestones. Second milestone domain is fine motor, which means that how he takes an object and reaches for an object which is kept besides him, in front of him. Because the way the child approaches tells a lot of stories about the child development. Suppose a child reaches like this, that means there's a whole palm which is using. Second, the child, if he picks up like this is the finer motor things which appears by the age of 9 months. And then the transferring of one object to the other hand. So this is called as fine motor. So this is how from gross to the bigger things, the child turns into finer things, and then the transferring occurs. So as a pediatric neurologist or even as a pediatrician, whenever you go in for the visits for your vaccinations and even for the school, when the child comes in, everybody should be alert on those aspects that the child should be meeting those milestones as a specified age. Third is social and language domain. That means how the child is reacting when being called. If you call them, then why and how he responds with a smile, with a reach, with a facial expression. Suppose a stranger calls, then this expression changes. So this all comes into social and communication. And fourth is the language domain. That means the speech and language, when the child becomes verbal and starts talking. So these are the four major categories in which a development of a human being is adjusted, is found out, and a child who's not meeting in each and every domain is lagging behind is called as developmental delay.
Okay.
I am not saying over here to compare two children.
Yes.
That means there may be a child who could walk by the age of 9 months, and there could be a child who could start walking by the age of 16 months or 17 months.
Right.
As a pediatric neurologist, for me, both of them are equal because there's a range. But if the child doesn't walk by the age of 18 months, it is not done. You have to be referred to a pediatric neurologist to find out the cause why the child is not walking. There are children who start speaking at a very early stage, and there are children who start with speaking at a later age. So for me, there are certain red flags for each and every developmental milestone. And if those red flags are reached and the child does not do the particular developmental milestone at that age, that is the time when you should be referred. And once the child does not reaches that domain, it's called as developmental delay or slow development. You can call it by multiple names. Some call it by global developmental delay. That means if more than two domains are involved, if more than one domain is involved, then we call it as global. That means we are occupying more than one domain. So we call it as global developmental delay.
Okay.
So to ask, have I served the answer to your question, or should I continue because you asked me a second question about what should be the causes? Should we
Yes.
do, or you want to add something more to that?
Yes, doctor, I would like to ask there, as you have given us the symptoms through which we can, assess how can we identify there is a development delay or not. I would like to know there are many parents who approaches us and their children are almost 2.5 years or 3 years of age, but children hardly speak a sentence. Suppose they are sometimes some children are able to speak one word or two words, but some are not able to speak even a single sentence, or they are not speaking clearly. And when I will request them to see the doctor or pediatrician, so they say the doctor is saying till 3 years of age, you should not worry. What is your suggestion for the parents?
Look, a child who is not speaking a word, but is following your instruction. That means If I tell you, go and get this book for me by the age of 3 years, you are telling because you're a school, preschoolers come to you. So this is a very important age because you are the people who pick up are the first markers of delayed development. So that's why it's very, very important for all the schools to know about this. And that's why I'm very happy that you put up this question.
Yes.
So to start with, suppose a child is coming to a 3-year age or a 2.5 year of age, and you are telling him, go and get this book from that shelf to me, even though he is not speaking even a single word, but he is following your command. You ask him, where is your nose? He says like this. Where is your ear? Where is the fan? Point towards the fan. Where is your mother? So the child is pointing. The child is following the command. The mother says that whatever we say, he just follows it, get those things, but non-expressive. There is not even mama, dada, baba, papa, but he
Yes.
understands who is the father, what affection and what smile or anxiety he has to show in front of the parent or in front of the stranger. If everything is set, then we say it's only expressive speech delay, and we ask the parents to go for speech therapy, will stop, and put the child to the school, because school, they give you a very good stimulatory environment, and 1:1 session speech therapy helps the child and the child gets out of this. Clear? Second is same situation, a child 2.5, 3 year is not talking at all, but the child babbles and talks non-contextual. He's reciting the poems which he has learned at the age of 2 years or maybe a day back. He knows all the alphabets, but when you ask the child, point towards mama, point towards fan, make a good eye connect, talk to me through your eyes, give me a social smile or smile at me, or when you make faces, the child reciprocates accordingly. So that is the child you should suspect for something different, maybe in the spectrum. And that is the child should be referred for further evaluation and for finding out the cause to a pediatric neurologist or a psychologist or a developmental pediatrician to find out what the cause is. Third, if the child is not at all listening to you, but he's not also listening to any music, he's not talking at all, not even a single contextual word, then you should suspect could be a case of hearing loss. Again, the child has to be referred for the proper diagnosis to finding out the cause for the speech delay. The fourth differential is maybe the child is not understanding the command. He doesn't know how the speech, how the words he has to speak. So that could be a cause of intellectual disability. That means less brain later on, which we would be able to diagnose. Fifth cause, maybe there is not enough stimulatory environment. Everybody is groggy and grumpy and nobody talk to the child. So that also could be a chance that the child is not speaking. But that again falls into the category of just expressive speech delay, because in this also the child should be doing the pointing, good eye connect, and following of command. So three things you have to always look in a child who comes to you for the speech delay: command following, pointing, eye connect, and also a social ambience to the child. So that is will help you to find out which way you have to refer the child to.
Okay. Okay. Great. Dr. Pooja, very good answer. I think this will help the parents a lot. I request parent, if you have any question related specifically to your child, please write, because this is a live session on Facebook. We will answer your questions, and Dr. Pooja will address those questions, and we will try to help you out. Right. Dr. Pooja, my next question is, as we understand, 80% of the brain develops till 6 years of age, right? But many parents, and I want to tell you also that Petals is located in 70 locations, right? So we are having different schools in different areas, not only in Delhi, but we are located in Bhopal, Patna, Jammu and Kashmir, everywhere. Most of the time what we have observed is, parent psychic is, once the child is 3 years of age, my child should know all the ABC, all the numbers. Outcome is, what they are doing is, they are by compulsion, say, they are giving pencils to the children. They are giving, beforehand they are doing rote learning. What they are doing is, they are ratifying A to Z, but 1 to 50 or 1 to 20, but child is not able to quantify it, right?
I
So I
agree.
want, as a neurologist, what is your suggestion to those school owners and those what do you call that, parents, that those who really want कि मेरे बच्चे को सबसे पहले सब कुछ आ जाए? This is a very very difficult situation.
Yeah, I
It's
know
a
that.
very difficult situation. In India is actually a competition driven country. And
Yeah.
right, so parents really want, my child should know all the spelling, all the number. What is your suggestion ki how does it affect the child mind if the parent compel, or beforehand they will give lot of alphabets and numbers and all these things to the children? How does it affecting the child mind?
Yeah, a very good question. So I ask you, like, how many Nobel Prizes our country people have won as
Yes,
compared with the West to US? So there
yes,
must be something different which they are doing differently and which we are doing differently. So the
right,
thing over here is this. Our parents, if you go to a developed country, they don't ask for the fine motor for the pencil. A banado, B banado. Once the child learns it, it's done. No. For us, for the child to become a all-rounder, to get the maximum out of whatever you are giving, is through the environment. To start with, let us go back a bit. We know that whatever we are is because of two things. One is genetics, which we get it from our parents. We cannot change. The second is environment, which we provide to our children, which definitely we have every opportunity to change. So, to start with, you have to give your child an experiential environment rather than a rote learning environment. What do you mean by experiential? So, in fact, we tell our parents, those who come for their journal checkup, that at the age of 6 months, let the child talk to the books. You read out the books to the child. Show some interest to the child about the stories. Why? Because it'll help the child have a connect with the book. Second, the child will imbibe whatever you are telling. Third, the child will start thinking abstract. Fourth, the child will get the vocabulary. Suppose you are reading a story, the child will start thinking of what the animal or the creature would look like if you are describing in a short profile of his. You are telling that, oh, there is a Red Riding Hood who climbed over there. So the child will think, okay, there is a girl who is climbing, and then there would be a picture which be drawn in the brain, and so the part of the brain will start thinking of abstract thinking. The brain will become active, stimulation will come. Vis-a-vis, whereas a child, you just tell the child, okay, this is A, this is B, this is C, this is D, or let them learn like 100,000 poems, which does not have any value at that age. Just learn, but they don't understand the significance of that. That is why now rote learning is prohibited. and we go in for experiential schools or the places where the child gets a lot of exposure. You are, in fact, at certain places in certain schools, they don't allow or let the child to hold a pencil, because to hold a pencil you require a very fine motor grip, and which develops by the age of 4 and 5. So if let your child do 1 and 2 by the age of 3 years, it's not going to help him in any good. He's not going to build certain good things in his mind. It will just put a picture of ABCD, help him to get hold of the pencil, nothing great. So for the developmental early years, experiential learning, taking him to the places, to the garden, telling about, okay, this is a flower. When you water the flower, but the plant, the water comes in, the flower grows. They understand it. Show them the leaves, show them the colors by the leaves of the colors, by the sky, color of the sky. And the very important one thing which I really want to highlight is, please do take the help of the technology, but don't be used by the technology. That means there are parents who just put in the stories or put in the poems, and the child just imbibes, learn, because they cause an imprint on the mind, but the child loses the social interaction. The child loses the abstract thinking, because you're already showing the picture. He doesn't have to think about the picture. And also there is one-way communication. The screen is telling all the stories and all the poems, and there is nothing to talk to, and there's nothing to communicate. So this child is going to be less on the IQ when he grows up. This child would be certainly delay in his speech and communication and language. This child will show more tantrums, because once you know that at the click of a moment, I can change the screen and get whatever I want, vis-a-vis a child whom you are just reading a book, you are telling the story, who's playing in a garden, who's playing in a group with other children, where tactile, where touch, where visual, where sensory, where smell, everything is happening. Obviously, the child is going to develop in a much beautiful and a better way, with a higher intelligence, with more vocabulary than a child who's just stuck to the screen time. So rote learning definitely is a big no-no at this stage, when we know a lot about how the development of the child or the brain happens. So I agree with you, Ms. Preeti, that definitely you should defer the parents and tell them that it is not just ABCD that our school teaches or the playgroup teaches. It's so many things where for the child comes in. So much exposure the child needs. The colors, the children over around, the poems, the music, the touch, the feel, everything matters.
Great. So, Dr. Puja, we are trying our level best, but I think once neurologist will say it will have an impact. That is why we have taken your help. So I request all the parents and the school owners once again that please don't involve your children into the rat race. Now the new education policy even clearly mentioned that critical thinking, overall development is far more important than this rote learning. And even they have those parents, those who are very much possessive about my child should know the English. Even NEP has, National Education Policy has stressed that basic education till class 5 has to be in the mother tongue, because research has proven that those children, those who study from the mother tongue, will actually have a better IQ. So thank you so much once again, Dr. Puja. My next question to you is, those children, those who actually face delayed development, does it affect to their academic performance also? And how?
Yes. So, as I told you that there are 4 domains. So if only the physical domain is affected, then the academics is like cannot be affected, nor not affected much. So let's go back again. So once we know the causes, then I think we will be able to find out where academics come into picture. Okay. So to start with, antenatal period. Antenatal means that when the child is in utero. So if you go through and hear the story of Abhimanyu, that the mother was the father was telling how to break the Chakravyuh, and Abhimanyu was there in the womb, and he heard about that, and the mother slept, and he was unable to hear what happened and how to get off from that. That story is true. So that means the development of the brain and the child start in utero. That means how the mother is, I mean, in what environment the mother is and how she's taking care of her body matters a lot. For a child to have a good IQ and a good development and good academics, antenatally a mother has to be at peace. There should not be a lot of stress. The mother should be happy. The mother should have good diet. The mother should take care of all the medical concerns in the form of hypertension and diabetes and thyroid. Everything has to be well managed. Antenatal care has to be good, and then only you can expect a good result. Next, during delivery. This is very important. The delivery happens in a place which has a very good setup in the form of NICU. Suppose the child who is born and does not cry just after birth is very well taken care by the pediatrician then and there at a every second of the child is saved. Because if the child does not get oxygen at that point of time during delivery, there could be a long-term consequences which could affect all your domains in the life, both the motor as well as cognition and academics and everything. Third, upbringing. Yes, this is very important point. And a lot of children which we see are because are low in academics or are slow learners is because they have a very stormy neonatal course, and the delivery happened in a very, not good place, or was not dealt with, or was not due care was taken. And that is why nowadays a lot of schools, when you go for the admission, they ask for your how premature, what you want premature, what was your APGAR score at the time of birth, did your child cry after birth, because they want to know the history, that how, what, and the child pattern would be. I know that these are very intriguing questions for a school to ask, but then the school is asking, they want the information so that they can do good and best for the child. That's a different story. I'm not going to get into that. The third thing is that a child who has any family history has to be searched for, because sometimes the genetics also come into play. A child who has a family of slow learners may have a child who could be a slow learner. So whenever a child comes to us, we ask for both the antenatal history, delivery history, as well as a family history, and also look at the child. Suppose a child who has got a bit of dysmorphism, that means the facial features are a bit different. Suppose a child who has thyroid deficiency at birth can have very slow academics. He could be a slow learner. So those all are factors have to be asked and taken care of. And I think every parent should know about it. This is journal knowledge. This is like, because you have a child, you should know what's the best for your child. It is not, I'm talking like going to Mars and going to Venus. This is basic thing which every parent should know, so that we get a very good society and our children are much higher IQ on that. So I was talking on the thyroid part of it, that they should know if the child is learning slow, is slow to move to, that could because of the thyroid. Fourth thing is that an environment. Suppose you're not giving a stimulatory environment, you're just keeping the child in front of the screen and there's just rote learning, that you're not giving ample time to play with the child, not taking to the park, and it's just the screen time, the child is not going to learn anything about. So now coming to your question, that all those children who have certain drawbacks in the early phase, yes, could have a academic slow later in the life, depending upon which domain of them is hampered at an early stage. If a child who does not have a social smile, or does not wave bye-bye, or does not have a speech, some speech by the age of 18 months, maybe 5 to 10 words, I should think of, in my brain, I would think of, could be a later, he may have some intellectual disability, maybe some learning problems would come in. So that features should be kept in mind, and child has to be looked in toto to find out what could be the cause and which domains are affected and how to work on that.
Okay. Okay. So what are the risk factors or what are the risky points when parents need to be alert for these delays?
Okay. So as I told you, parents should know about the red flags in the
Yes.
child. Red flags means that a child, suppose take a major motor milestone, a child who is not walking by 18 months.
Okay.
So this is a red flag. I
Okay.
don't mind the child does not walk by 1 year. Keep it at home. Try, help him out to walk. No problem. 13 months, 14 months, because some children take their own time, which is okay with me. But suppose by the time of 18 months also the child is not walking independently and is not walking without any support, that is the time, that's the red flag, and every parent should know about it. You should not keep the child till like 2 years, 2.5 years, and then come to us. That's a very, very delayed case. Some parents tell us that, oh, ma'am, my child was born preterm. So
Yes.
once the child is born preterm, so he'll take his own good sweet time. So for those parents, we take it that whatever may be the gestational age of the child at which the child is born, by the age of 2 years, the child should be able to match his full term age appropriate child. Means that
Okay.
whatever a child do at the age, a child who's born at 40 weeks or born at term, whatever the child do at 2 years should be done by the child who is born even at 24 weeks, 26 weeks, premature 7 months, premature 8 months. I will not count. Till 2 years, I'll give you grace period. By 2 years, everything should be come in equilibrium. If it has not come, please approach your pediatrician. Similarly, for the speech milestone, speech is like a very fundamental unit of a person. So a large emphasis is laid on that. Like you asked, I was quite impressed by the question, because a lot of children comes to you, ask for, my child is not speaking, what to do? Let us put it to the school.
Right.
And
Right.
wait till 3 years. No, you just cannot wait till 3 years, because the incidence of autism is increasing day by day. So right now, 1 in every 68 child who is born may have autism, and the most important factor is by speech delay, because
Doctor,
a
in India
lot of
also? Doctor,
eh,
in India also?
yes, I'm talking about India.
Out of
I'm
68,
talking
every
about,
one child is suffering from autism.
yes. The prevalence is this. That's a huge number if you look at our population. So that's a huge number. And
Yes.
so that is why our Indian Academy of Pediatrics, the developmental pediatrics, everybody has put it that by 18 months of age, that means 1.5 saal ka bacha has to go through a screening, which is called as MChat screening, modified checklist for autism in toddlers, to be done even by a parent. You can do that. It is very well on the internet. If you just type MChat, and you will get a questionnaire of 20 questions, you just score your child, and then you can talk to your pediatrician about it. So at 18 months, every child has to be screened for that, because they believe that the more you will do the screening, the better pickup rate would be there.
Yes.
And if you pick up early by the age of 18 months, you could really go in for interventions early and change the trajectory of the child. Vis-a-vis a child who comes after 3 years, and then that's a lot of time lost. So
Okay.
that is why I request all the schools, and I'm very happy again, I'm telling you, that you called and discussed and took this point, because this is a very hush topic.
Yes.
Nobody wants to talk, and I'm really pleased that you are talking about it. You know about the importance of this subject, because in India we have to pick up this, and a lot of parents don't know about it. And you being as a primary person, because you deal with children who comes at this age to you. So I think every teacher of your school, everyone, every parent should know about these general knowledge things about our child.
Yes.
Plus, there are various apps also in which you just put up your child's development and they will tell you, okay, the child is very age appropriate development, don't worry, or the child has delay. So, I mean, at Continua also we have formed an app by which you just put up your developmental milestones and you'll get a response, okay, fine, don't worry, or your lag is there in this domain, or a lag is there in this domain. So you should know about that, and you should every day, I mean, not every day, like you should know every 6 monthly, you should ask your pediatrician, you should know what your milestones of a normal child at this age should be, and then compare and get back, okay, my child is lagging, let's see whether this is a normal lag or I should do something about that.
Wow, wow. It's such a useful information. Thank you, Dr. Puja. So, mothers, as you keep checking your weight and keep visiting your dietitian, so for your children, keep checking their milestones so that you should do justice with your children. Because in today's world, even we don't know what kind of a problems our children are facing, because diet is totally different as what we have taken, right? Environment is totally different, technology which we are living with is totally different. So our children are actually living in a different world. Don't think if we are okay they also come out with okay. They are living in a very fast pace of life and they are living with technology. They are the digital citizen. So it is our very foremost responsibility not only to take care of their physical health but also their mental health. Okay, Dr. Pooja, my next question to you is for the mental health only. Like it's more than 100 days, everybody is inside. Most of the time, parent thinks that we are having a little one. That what will they understand? They are enjoying their online classes, and most of the parent hardly think whether online classes are important or not. But I think it is a one way to interact with the friends, to interact with other person, because most of us are living in a nuclear families. So apart from 2 4 more people you can interact with your friends, sometimes parent can do video chat also. But what is your understanding, this corona or this such a lengthy period of lockdown is affecting child mental health?
Definitely, I
Oh,
agree with you.
so
Definitely.
positive or negative, doctor?
So what in my practice after this unlocking and I start seeing patient, I saw it is like both ways. So
Okay.
why both ways was that I saw parents who were doing and spending and utilize this time of corona with as a family time, and they just became children with their children. You know,
Yes.
they started playing board games, they started talking more, they developed their hobbies with their children, they started talking, they started reading storybooks with them day in day out. The child was also happy because both the parents were there, and there was a family which was doing everything. They were cooking together, they was playing together, they were bathing together, they was doing everything together in a fun way. With those children, I found out they were coming to our center for therapy and speech, and they were talking like now anything. And the child was also happy, and everything was like good. They shunned the screen, they shunned everything, because and they were living a very disciplined life in spite of being corona there, and there was no I mean, there was no discipline there, but still they maintained the discipline. They got up at the time of the school, they did everything as the school and the routine, and that was the family which did fantastic.
Okay.
Now, there were other people who came in with that whatever we did is lost because the child is not going to beat the peer age group, was just confined to a very localized place in the house, the confines of the house. The movement has been restricted. We are just 3 people, parents and a child. So because of that, the tantrums have gone in. The speech has been lost. He's regressed in his speech, his behavior has become worse. So in those families, when you introspect, those the parents who were dependent on a lot of the children around or the surrounding for the development of the child. I'm not saying this is wrong, but once you're in a situation when there is no contact with a peer age group, when there's no contact with anybody, there is no human social thing which is happening, then you have to be a child for your own child. And if you are not, then definitely regression will come in. So as you said that by medium of Skype talking, the video chatting, that has really helped and should be. So
Okay.
I'm happy that you put up this point. So video chat is good. Do
Yes.
video chat with all your relatives, with your friends if you're
Yes.
not able to get down. With the online classes, that is also video chatting.
Yes.
Chat, talk. At least with nothing, you're gaining something. I'm not saying that is very good for and that is the best thing for your child. But then if you are not allowed for any social interaction, this is one way. Rather than just putting your child in front of the screen, video chatting, talking is much more and much use of the technological thing for the development of a child rather than just screen time all alone. Third
Right.
is like you have to become a child with your child. You have to jump, you have to play, you have to talk, you have to read. You know, it's like said that it takes a village to raise a child. And this is true. I believe in it. Really takes a village. You know, the school, the teachers, the peer group, the playground friends, the relative, the friends, everybody contributes in the development of the child. So if don't lose even a single opportunity where you get a contact and get hold of it. So if the school is getting online, do it. At least rather than just restrictive and doing nothing, do that. Do video chatting, play with your child. I mean, just jump, skip, play board games. I mean, that's the thing you can do in this phase of lockdown.
Yes. So, dear parents, I think now we should have to understand we have to become a child with child to enjoy his childhood and for his mental health. Thank you so much, Dr. Pooja. Last but not the least, one very important question I would like my each parent should know. What as a parent we all can do that which is very healthy for our child brain? Is it a diet? Is it an environment? Or is it any supplement? Or what kind of an interaction is good for a child mental health? Because you are a neurologist, we want to listen from your side that what is healthy for a child brain, which is very very important, and every parent from 2 years to the 8 years should take care of.
Okay. As I already said, a child is because of genetics and
Yes.
environment.
Yeah.
In genetics, you cannot change.
Okay.
Whatever genetics we
So
get
what
it
is
from
the
our parents.
percentage of genetic, doctor? What is the percentage of genetic in a child?
So basically, a child is formed from 50% you get it from the mother and 50% genes you get it from the father. And that
Okay.
is, suppose I have a genetics of that I will reach a height of 165 centimeters when I grow as an adult if I get good environment. In
Okay.
environment, it is good diet and nutrition. Okay.
Okay.
So in my genetics, when I am born, it is written I will grow to 165 centimeter of height if I get good environment in the form of good nutrition. Suppose I restrict my nutrition, I am anemic, I am not taking good green leafy vegetables, I am low on my calcium, maybe I will grow only till 160 centimeters. So the
Okay.
maximum and the minimum potential is defined by the genetics, and the way you reach to the maximum potential you will reach or not is defined by the environment.
That means diet
Environment,
also matters, doctor. Diet also matters in brain.
yes, in environment constitute few things. Environment includes your diet and the stimulation which you get around from your surrounding. So both
Okay.
have importance. It is not that you just make a child closed room and you feed him with the best of the eatables and the best of the nutrients, the child is not going to develop great. You require both the nutrition as well as the surrounding stimulatory environment, the infrastructure around you. Now, coming to the point of what diet is good. So, I know a lot of our Indian mothers are very fascinated by milk. So, milk in itself has just calcium. 90% of it is water.
Yeah.
So, would you just feed your child with water and just calcium? No. For the normal development of a child, a balanced diet is important. That is why teeth starts erupting by the age of 6 months, because that is the time when you have to introduce food apart from milk for the development of the child. So you have to start with whatever is God has made under the earth. Everything has to be tasted by the child, because that is the time when taste buds develop. Before 6 months, the child has just tasted milk. He doesn't know what the how sweet taste, how bitter thing taste, I mean, he doesn't know anything. So that is why the concept of complementary feeding has come in. That by the age of 6 months, start introducing different kinds of food to the child. Give him ghee, give him tori, give him non-veg, give him milk has to be there, but give him chapati, give him everything, whatever you are eating, so that he develops the taste. And once you will start introducing that thing, the child will develop the taste and he won't be a fussy eater later on.
Yes.
And you can introduce slowly, you can decrease the milk. And they say by the age of a year or so, the child requires just 250 to 500 ml of milk in throughout the day. That's it. Apart from that, you have to feed him with other things in the form of green vegetables, in the form of nuts, in the form of paneer, in the form of chapati, in the form of rice, dal, non-veg, whatever. But one thing has to be taken care. I believe too that a lot of mother ask for the nutrient supplements. If you will give your child introduction of the diet at the age of 6 months, he won't be a fussy eater. If he won't be a fussy eater, he will eat everything. Once he will eat everything, he doesn't require supplement. So, so you have to inculcate that habit of eating at a very early age. You come at 1.5 years and say, Mom, I just do the puree of the thing and then I feed the child puree because he doesn't know how to chew. Because you haven't
True.
introduced at the age of 6 months. So the concept of introduction of food at the right age is very important, and also the introduction of balanced diet. If I say broccoli increases the brain IQ, it doesn't mean that you just will feed broccoli throughout day in and day out. Doesn't mean that it's just that the only thing which is good for your brain. Everything in good proportion is definitely required. Nuts have their own important thing. Fish have their own. Meat have their own. Wheat have its own. Rice, dal, everything has its own importance. So feed the child with everything in good quantity.
Yes. So thank you so much, Dr. Pooja. We are happy to share the screen with you on Facebook Live. Thank you so much for coming on our platform. And our parents are also liking it a lot. So we have learned a lot. I think most of the myths and has been solved by you. And the parent must have also got the answers which they are worried a lot, because once you become a parent, your only attention is your child, right? And the
Agree.
child is the center of your eyes, right? Everywhere you go, whomsoever you will talk to, you will only talk about your child. So Dr. Pooja, in this kind of an environment, you have just came as an angel, and thank you so much for enlightening us and for giving us so much of good information. Thank you so much, doctor.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
My
Stay
pleasure.
safe.
Stay
Yeah.
safe. Thank you.
Bye. Take care.
Bye. Take care.
Yes.